normal, preternatural, and supernatural worlds that surround us. Here we delve into those topics that challenge us to think outside the limitations of realism, where we test the boundaries of imagination and are forced to think outside the confines and restrictions of what is normal. We are the creators, the writers, the artists, and the insane. Welcome to our weird realities.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us tonight for Weird Realities. We hope you had a fantastic Thanksgiving. Got to spend lots of time with your loved ones or just doing nothing if that was your desire. Tonight, we've got all of our regulars here, and Miss Hadley may be joining us, may not. She's having some technical issues. But tonight we're going to get into something we weren't really planning this one. We were actually going to do a follow-up to the Shadow People. We actually had a guest that was supposed to be here with us, and unfortunately he's no longer with us. But this is a friend of Stephen's, and like I said, we hate that he couldn't make it, but
he has a good reason.
Yes, absolutely.
The best.
No, that's terrible. I hated to hear that.
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, it's usually the good ones we lose. But we were actually doing a second part to the Shadow People just specifically because he was going to be with us. So I do want to dedicate tonight's show to him. And tonight we're going to talk about the Teos Caves in Ecuador. They are in the Amazon forest, right at the foot of the Andes. And they have been all kinds of people looking in search of artificial tunnels, lost gold, sculptures, and a metallic library.
I think I've figured out a way to show some pictures tonight without having to show any websites.
Oh, okay, awesome, great. So this metallic library is supposedly tells us everything that we've ever lost of our prehistory. And it was left by extraterrestrials. The cave is actually guarded by the indigenous Shuar people of Ecuador. It's long been a center of spiritual and ceremonial practices to them, and it's also home to powerful spirits and tarantulas and scorpions and spiders and boa constrictors. But it's also, Teos is the name for a nocturnal bird called the oil birds. That's actually where it got its name from. This got such a lot of hype in the late 60s that even Neil Armstrong went down to explore.
I can, if you want me to talk about kind of the evolution of the hop around that, I can.
Oh, absolutely.
Hey, Happy. And I know that you said it was around the 60s. I don't know the exact dates of what I'm about to say, but this is sort of the evolution of hey, Sherry.
Hey.
Hey, Mike. But the evolution of how the cave kind of came to notoriety, there was a missionary that went there to I guess live with the
Hey.
Hello.
Did you say something, Hadley?
I think CERN's breaking in on her, is what she's
Oh, I got you.
All right.
I thought Boudreaux was running loose or something. But yeah, there was a missionary, and I think his name was Father. Oh Lord, it started with a C.
Terrible.
Crepsey?
What was it, Stephen?
Crepsey, I think.
Yes, that sounds right. Father Crespi.
Crispy, yeah.
Yeah, Crespi.
Yeah.
So Father Crespi's there.
Can we call
living
him
with
Crispy for the fun of it?
We can call him Crispy. So the Crispy father was living with the indigenous folk around the Teos area, and they loved him. So as gifts, they would give him artifacts that they had found from the cave.
Oh.
And I will share one of these artifacts. Let me get my screen ready. let's see. This has changed on me.
Yeah, I think there was an update.
Okay, I think I got it.
Okay. There we go.
So this is, I don't know if I can make this bigger or not. So this was one of the artifacts that was given to Father Crispy by the indigenous people. This is a black and white photo, but this was made out of gold. Mm-hmm. And whenever I looked at this, it really struck me. What's going on?
Rock and roll, bud.
No, I mean, if you want to stop and play music, we can.
No, I hit the wrong button on my phone.
So does this looks kind of like it would be...
That looks kind of lizardish.
Well, I mean, that looks like, our current government and without their disguise, but does it look kind of like press to you?
What it looks like to me is really comparable to this guy.
You need to give some descriptions for Mike.
Yeah, so descriptions of what you're showing.
What we're looking at. Remember, so not everybody's going to be able to visually see this.
So Father Crespi received gifts from the indigenous folk around Teos Cave. This was one of them. This is a gold. It looks like it could have been part of a bigger plate at some point, because you can see like the edges are kind of broke off. I'm trying to make it as big as I can here.
It looks like a man with a lizard head wearing
he's got wings.
Native American headdress.
Yeah, so here's your
purse.
Well, even in
with wings.
What we see with reptilians, a lot of reptilians are depicted with feathers, like in this general area. So it may not be a headdress; it may just be like part of it. But lizard man with wings is, I think, would be the perfect descriptor there.
Yeah.
Well, the plumed serpent, or Quetzalcoatl, feathered, or the plumed serpent.
Yeah.
Which depicted, which described the reptilian, for sure.
Yeah.
We know from just the history. I don't think we've ever done a proper episode yet on the Anunnaki. Did we?
No, I don't know. We didn't, but we've touched on it multiple times.
So the Anunnaki weren't particularly fond of the reptilian race.
Right.
So I think what we have here is maybe this was the part of the earth that the reptilian race kind of hit first and was away from the Anunnaki enough to where they could establish a presence like this. Because so this is from the ancient indigenous people around Teos, and then this is from the ancient indigenous people in Iraq.
Yeah, Sumerian.
Yeah,
So is that a representation of Gilgamesh?
Some people say Gilgamesh. Some people say it was, what was his name? Enki or Enke?
Yeah, well, Nimrod, Gilgamesh. They were to me
kind of interchangeable.
Yeah, they were interchangeable. So, Enki,
Enki was supposed to be like the leader of the Anunnaki, I guess.
Yes.
But anyway, I just wanted to share that because as soon as I saw that, I was like, okay, that looks like ancient Sumerian. And think about how far Samaria was from the Teos Caves.
Right, yeah, from Ecuador, Central America. So that's often something I've noticed in research and everything too, is so many things that are similar from totally different places. And
do you think with some of this right here, it could have been pre-flood?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And I think the caves could have protected them too.
Right. Yeah, that's where I was going. I mean, there's some kind of like a Jade, Donna Jade. I'm sorry, I can't remember her last name. They thought that they found evidence of like a universal language at one time because they found similar pictographs, hieroglyphs all over the world.
That goes along. That goes along with the Anunnaki because apparently.
Yeah.
In the story, like whether we're talking about Nephilim or actual extraterrestrials, in both of those stories,
right,
they basically get pissed off and separate all of humanity by language barriers.
Mm-hmm.
But it was Father Crispy is really the reason. So he gets all these cool gifts, and he's like, "Man, I really love these gifts." And then he starts telling people about it, and that's what got the first guy to write the book about it.
Mm-hmm.
The book made its way to America, and America's like, "Oh, I think we need to help them."
Yeah,
Help them out. No need for them to worry about packing all that gold out of that cave.
You're right. But when America finally did make it, they say that they didn't find anything particularly interesting in that cave, but
Of course not.
they also said that the indigenous folk told them that they were in the wrong cave and that they wouldn't tell them where the cave was. And Father Crispy didn't know where the cave was either because they were just bringing stuff to him.
Well, and when you were doing research, did you come across a gentleman called Stan Hall who had gone down like in the late 70s, early 80s?
Was that the first expedition before the American expedition?
I think so, yeah, because it was that they said that they had accidentally found some hidden tunnels that were artificially dug sometime in the past.
There was right angles.
Yeah.
There was a Juan, I can't say the name properly, but it's like Juan Maurice that the Gold of the Gods was wrote. And reference down there with it.
Yep, he's the one that wrote the book that brought so much attention to it.
I wonder if our expedition was in the same cave.
I don't know because Stan Hall, supposedly they got about a half mile into one of those hidden tunnels, and they came across the large room containing the Golden Library and stuff. Mm-hmm. That supposedly was not there when the Americans.
Well, yeah, it couldn't have just disappeared. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I guess they could have deconstructed it somehow.
But a library with thousands of metal books, that's a lot to move.
For sure.
And I don't know. To me, that's always been a real curious thing as to why some books were metal. Kind of like the Copper Scroll they found in the Dead Sea caves and stuff like that. I guess were the people thinking that the metal would last.
Well, think about how our technology runs today, though. Like, there's precious metals in, like, even our phones.
Yeah. There's gold.
So if they had some kind of way, like, let's say you had some kind of, for the sake of this conversation, like a TV type of device or like a projector that you could insert those plates into.
Oh yeah.
And you have to think, like, we don't even know, like, they say that some of these extraterrestrials are telepathic in nature.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to think of that component too. Like, what if it was like the Matrix, like type download to where you could just download the information?
Right. Well, and that's like even I've got a watch that belonged to my grandfather's first wife. And I've seen this on watches before, but never really realized it was a literal thing. But it has like 17 jewels on the back of it. And I watched a jeweler take it apart because there was something wrong with the mechanism. And there were actually rubies and diamonds in the back of this watch. And I'm like, oh, what's that? And he goes, well, that's your jewels they're talking about. There are 17 of these in this watch. And I'm like, oh, wow. He goes, it's part of what makes it run. It was an old wind-up watch. It didn't have all the digital and stuff in it. But you have to wonder, because like I said, I keep stones and crystals around me at all times because of the way they make me feel and what I get from them. So you have to wonder.
And it could be a situation where, so what we say this every episode, but history pre 1900 is pretty sketchy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's possible too. The possibilities are endless. Like some of the pictures I saw when looking into this cave, like it looked like how everything's like laser cut in those pyramids.
Yeah.
Same deal with this cave. It looks laser cut.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to them not being
Cece.
able to find stuff in the when Mr. Armstrong went there after he came back from the moon, is it possible that it's because the Vatican had already raided it? Because Father Crispy kind of claimed that there was a conspiracy by the Vatican to.
I wonder if he got promoted after that.
Yeah. Promoted to the grave, probably.
Right. Well, and here's the thing too, Mike, as far as, the technology and everything. I mean, look at, and this is a totally fiction comparison, but Harry Potter, where the stairs move and change, so who's to say that idea didn't come from something that's actually possible if you have the correct technology?
And there's other myths. I forget. There's a place where they were diving on this underwater cave that had this orb that was lit up, like in it was supposed to be one of the ancient cities. And the guy basically said that this orb bestowed knowledge on him. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a lot of stuff like that. I mean, you hear that about like the caves in Iraq too, to where there's like almost like lot technology where you interact with this thing and it gives you information like telepathically almost. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something I always think about because, they always say that these beings are living on a higher vibration and they know a lot more about the nature of the universe than we do.
Yeah. Well, and if there were ever any way we could figure out how to tap into this universal knowledge bank, of course, then we no longer discuss these things because we are no longer available to discuss these things, but there's a lot, there's a lot that we can speculate on that I think this, I believe that, but actually knowing that takes it to a whole different level. So, I think anything like that's going to be hidden before it has the ability to come into contact with too many people.
Did Father Crispy actually make it to like a natural death?
It didn't. I didn't see anything about his death.
Because his artifacts and everything that he had from them apparently got burned up in a fire in like 1962, 63. So all these artifacts that were gifted to him miraculously disappeared amongst flames like so many other things from ancient history have.
Yeah.
Fire cleanses all, is what they say.
I heard that.
Isn't it funny how that happens so often?
Yeah.
A fire.
Well, it's yeah, you're correct.
Yeah, but with that cave, if the people who lived in the area decided to show them a different cave rather than the correct cave, you really couldn't blame them.
No, not at all.
Well,
that's even Mount Shasta up in Washington. The rumor that there is an underground cave system that nobody in the area knows about.
Right.
And everything, and said, the local natives will not tell you that there is something there, which with good reason.
Exactly. It's you have the story about this cave, then there was a story of Burroughs Cave in Illinois that supposedly had Egyptian artifacts in it. There's stories told that there's a huge cave in the Grand Canyon that has been closed off to the public for a long time. And there's no access to it. So it just really makes you, I don't know.
Well, yeah. And, and the thing about it is if they ever decide, we're going to show you there's nothing mysterious here. This is what the Vatican vault is. That's only going to be that simplest of layers, that they're showing the public.
What's behind that door? How don't you worry about that door?
That's right. That's a broom closet. Never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's just the way it goes. And like I said, I know it's there. You'll never convince me otherwise. I just want 12 hours. Just give me 12 hours in there.
I just realized that my mic had me auto muted somehow.
Oh.
So it hurt enough of you.
Yeah, I've been sitting here talking away. What I was going to throw in there that the indigenous people claim to have practiced, I guess, rituals with the race that was there that built all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason they're protecting the cave is because they continued those rituals after that race left.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't say whether the race was human or not. Given the hieroglyphs and stuff, I would say no, because there's also hieroglyphics there. I don't know if you saw, but there's literally hieroglyphics that look like flying saucers.
Uh-huh.
Those are everywhere.
Yeah.
Anywhere you find hieroglyphs, you got those.
Right. Well, it's the fact that the Star Child skull was found in Mexico, and before the Panama Canal was dug, it was all one land. So, the Star Child that really looks like a hybrid of some sort to me. If you've ever looked at that.
You know what? I just thought about this. That hybrid race of the weirdly tall, blonde-haired, blue-eyed people are down there.
Oh,
like that's close. It's in South America.
Okay.
Oh, those are remnants of the Nazis.
Yeah. Yeah. All of the twins born in Argentina.
And Mike, 12 hours would not be nearly enough, but I would take 12 hours.
No.
Just give me 12. That's all I want. 12 and a free pass to leave. How about that?
I'll definitely work out the deal for the free pass to leave once you
Yeah. So,
you're not getting out of there.
Come on. They may turn me into the next, what's his name from that movie? Von Helsing.
Oh.
So I might be the next, super vigilante killer or something.
I wonder who actually gets to go in there.
I don't know. Did you ever watch the movie or read the book? It was by Umberto Eco. It was called The Name of the Rose. And it was a movie in the 80s with Christian Slater and Sean Connery. They were priests, Franciscan priests. And they were going to this big monastery that sat by itself up in the mountains and everything, because priests were coming up murdered. And, this was during the Inquisition, so it had witch burnings and all that stuff. But they were trying to figure out, what was happening. Why is somebody killing priests? And it all came down to the books that they were reading. That some of the books that they were reading, someone felt that they would not take their religion seriously enough. So it was back when the priests had to copy books by hand. So he was killing off the ones who had seen them and getting rid of the book.
Well, I definitely know at some point in history, the Vatican was completely overthrown by whatever you want to call it, like the push to control the world. Because you have the same people. I mean, the Pope kind of echoes a lot of the rhetoric from who we would consider the elite of the world. And that hasn't always been the case. There was a point in time where, I think the Pope and the king or queen had a disagreement, and it actually resulted in, a huge riot and battles and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point, they got overthrown, and I don't think that part's in history anywhere.
Right.
What about this Petrino Jamelio? He's the one that claimed to go in there in the 1940s when he was 17, and all the stuff that he's seen. Did you read anything about that?
No, throw it out
I
there.
didn't catch that one.
He's the one that apparently went and he found the library when he's around 17 years old, and he dropped down in there and just basically explored. He found the metal library. He's seen all that, but in addition to that, he went to another room that had like these smooth, translucent tablets. Basically, he thought they were crystal, made out of crystal. He said they were grooved with parallel encrusted channels, stacked on sloping shelves of trestled units covered in gold leaves.
Does this not sound like Prometheus?
It really does.
Yeah.
He said there were zoomorphic and human statues. Some of them were on heavy column plinths. Plinths? Is that how you say
Plinths. Yeah, plinths.
metal bars of different shapes, as well as sealed doors, which were most likely tombs.
Mm-hmm.
So behind these tombs, and I read a little thing that was kind of risque about it, that they said they found alien bodies there, of like giant alien bodies.
Oh.
Did you hear about
You know,
that?
in one of the, I did read that they found human remains and that they were giant.
Yes. Yes.
But I did not read the extraterrestrial part. Oh, speaking of giants, I'll have to send you guys. I saw a quote from Abraham Lincoln.
Yes.
Acknowledging giants.
Really?
And I'd never seen that before.
What did it say?
It's actually Googleable.
Google.
Like he I don't know the exact, I can't rattle off the exact quote, but he literally says it something about giants, because when he was like president, it used to be common knowledge that they were a race.
So if it's Googleable, you got a computer right there in front of you, that champ.
I think we all do, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm reading about Father Crespi, seeing what of course it was clickbait, because it's like we finally figured out what happened to all the things. So I've got to see what they have to say.
Okay, so he says, the eyes of the species of extinct giants whose bones filled the mounds of America have gazed on Niagara as our own eyes do now. And he was giving a speech, I think at the Niagara Falls at the time.
Yeah, it was at Niagara Falls.
And he said that because it was common knowledge then that giants were real. And a lot of these burial mounds throughout America contain giant bones. And when they get dug up, the Smithsonian comes in.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, people could look up some of the work that Jim Vieira has done. And also, I think his name is Richard J. Dewhurst. He has a book called The Giants Who Ruled Ancient America. Yeah, but there are a lot of old newspaper clippings of 8, 9, 10, 12-foot giants. The skeletons have been found in America, because when people came here, they started farming and they changed the landscape quite a bit because of that.
I'm sure you've heard of, I just found out about this person like a day or two ago, but Graham Hancock, you know who that is?
Yes, absolutely. I like, for the most part, I like Graham. He's a good journalist.
Yeah, he has a new show on Netflix, and I swear to God, this is off topic. If you don't look at him and just listen to him talk, he sounds exactly like Obi-Wan Kenobi from the Star Wars. like dead on. McGregor, is that his name?
Yeah.
But yeah, he was talking about apparently the archaeological community in today's world is so if you have one alternative thought, they'll kick you out. Yes,
that's why they won't debate him. They think that they're saving face, not debating him. But actually, I think they're all running scared.
Well, he has that new show on Netflix where he actually proves or gives evidence to back up what he's saying, and they still won't talk to him.
No, yeah, it's you can look at aerial photographs of Montana, and you can see the result of a massive amount of water that went over the area. Those huge stones, boulders that are out there in the middle of nowhere. They had been on a glacier. That's the only way they got there.
Mm-hmm.
And they're thinking now that glacier is probably one that was in Canada. That's where all that water came from.
I think what he says, though, there had to be some like apocalyptic, cataclysmic event around the poles that caused the sea level to rise at like a ridiculous rate.
Well, it was the Ice Age, basically, when all the glaciers and everything melt. Because when the Ice Age was taking place, we had way more land where people have been building for thousands of years.
But wasn't that also about the time of the last pole shift?
I think I'm trying to think of what they said their theory was. I think the popular theory is that we pass through. So twice a year we pass through this asteroid belt.
Yeah, we pass through the Taurus meteor string twice a year.
Yeah, and I'm glad that I can paraphrase and you know what I'm talking about because I have no idea. But there was there's still remnants of a comet, like a dead comet, and they think that I think it was like 12,000 years ago, Earth hit that comet. Or fragments of it, and that hit the poles, melted the ice at an extreme rate, and pushed everything down.
There's one thought that there was a big comet that hit somewhere in Greenland that melted a lot of the ice and things of that nature that ran down through Montana and Wyoming and Washington and all.
Yeah, well, we'll see what modern archaeologists usually go with is that there were many cataclysms. And what Randall Carlson, who's a partner of Graham Hancock's, says that he believes that it was one cataclysm that caused all of it.
Yeah, that would make more sense, really. Which, I mean, I guess it's possible that, comets hitting, volcanoes going off, all that good stuff, pole shifting.
I would think if a big enough chunk of comet hit that it would shift, it would cause tsunamis and all of that.
Right.
I mean,
looking at the ice core, I mean, I'd love for y'all to see the graph that Randall Carlson has from the ice cores that show the radical change in temperature for I don't remember how long it was, but I mean talking about big shifts in the temperature. Mm-hmm. Over 100 degrees, dropped down to freezing. And that went on for a long time. I mean, it was crazy. And there's proof of it in the ice cores that they have drilled out.
Yeah.
So
that's very interesting. I've watched a couple of documentaries about them doing that and everything, and it's just always cool what they can find in those ice cores.
If you knew a tsunami was coming to wipe out the world, would you try to use a wakeboard to ride it?
Of course. Now, actually, I've got a kayak out here, so
I think I'd use a wakeboard.
Yeah. So, I've always wondered, if the reason why some of the stuff that was left behind wasn't done on purpose because they were aware that there was a cataclysm coming. Göbekli Tepe, that shoots a lot of the theories in the head there because of how old it dates back. And
is that the pyramid?
No, Göbekli Tepe is the underground city. It's
the what is it? The Rose Gate that they have, like the stone.
Oh yeah. They have bas relief carvings of animals on pillars there that don't even exist anymore. Mm-hmm. So I mean, the fact that it dates back to like 4,000 years older than the pyramids.
I get weird about animal timelines too, because there's that painting of people riding brontosauruses from the 1800s. Like, how did they know what brontosauruses look like? You know?
Yeah. Well,
Right.
it's just like the mammoth bone that was found in Florida that had a carving on it of a mammoth. The rocks that had been found in South America that had the carvings of dinosaurs on it. How did the people know what they looked like unless they'd seen it?
Right.
Mhm. Yeah, because they didn't have the Google back then.
They didn't have the Google, but also like nobody. I just don't understand why anybody like nobody's willing to listen to this. You know what I mean?
No.
Other than us, like in a few people, and then nobody actually makes it big enough to put the word out there. You know what I mean?
Hey, I
Right.
did watch the first episode of your cartoon the other day.
What did you think of that?
I've got it saved so I can continue watching it. I liked it.
I think that's one of those predictive programming things where they just tell you what's happening.
Because you would never believe it was truth. It's got to be fiction.
Yeah, they put it in a cartoon and make it funny.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's called Inside Job, Stephen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Inside job.
Yeah, it's a cartoon on Netflix. It's definitely I would consider it an adult cartoon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But it's all about conspiracies, and it's literally everything that we talk about.
And it's
Really?
a government group that covers up the truth.
Like the hollow earths in one. Apparently there's a plug in the middle of the ocean that keeps Leviathan-sized creatures out of the oceans.
A little bit too.
Oh, kind of like the Meg, the movie.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And was there an edge of the earth, or they took the flat earther to the edge and put him in the plug or something?
Well, her dad was the guy that created the government agency or whatever, the main character, and he had convinced a bunch of people of flat Earth. So he basically made flat Earth up, but comes to find out that hollow Earth is real. So they're taking the flat Earth guy to the hollow Earth.
Yeah, Mike. I think the problem is, Mike, that Rockefeller created indoctrination camps to call all of us crazy that question the history books.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Inside Job.
Inside Job.
If you haven't seen it, you should check it out.
Yeah, I've got to go. I've got to go get my Encyclopedia Britannica sometime this weekend and see what year they are. Because I saw a deal the other day where they were showing a thing from like a 1953 Encyclopedia Britannica or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was talking about the
ice wall,
30,000 feet in Antarctica.
Yep. I think it's pre 1953. I think, Stephen.
There's another thing on Netflix now. If you watch the second, I think this last episode, it's about the guy that won the Harrier jet. The guy that won the Harrier, that got enough Pepsi points to win the Harrier jet. They go to Antarctica. They're flying. You can see it. You can see a pyramid out the window.
Yeah, you saw the pyramid too.
Yeah.
I was hoping I wasn't the only one that saw that.
Have you guys seen the videos? Usually I see them on TikTok, but there's a video where they're flying. They keep flying past the part where the post office and stuff is in Antarctica, and they actually have a base built on a tree stump.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like one of the giant trees or whatever, like we see in other places.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how does that play back into this cave? Like, do you think that the stuff that's on the metal tablets and things are basically explaining all this? Like, you remember what we was talking about, the library in your mind the other day? Do you think this would be like the physical representation of that?
Sure. Yeah. The Akashic.
Yeah.
So what if that is the Akashic record?
Yeah.
Like what if that was like, what if there's a way to physically plug into that, and that's what they had? Oh Lord, I had a thought. I lost it. I had to think about it. But I'm just like, there's there's so much to that. I was reading that there's 250,000 years of history in that library, apparently.
Wow.
All right.
From-
I still think that Alexandria only lost junk that didn't matter.
Yeah.
I really don't think that they lost everything that they claimed to have lost.
Right.
That was the early Vatican. So,
The only thing lost was how to properly brush your teeth or something.
right. Okay, so according to this, Father Crespi lived to a ripe old age. He did not pass until 1982.
Oh, sweet. So they didn't get him.
They did not, but said that he received over 50,000 pieces of artifacts from these people. And that after the library burned down, or his, it wasn't a library, it was a museum. He made a museum to show it off to people, and said that it burned and that he actually lost very little. Said that, if I work in the 60s, and that unlike other treasure stories that end, said he was able to save most of his artifacts, and for the next 15 or so years, he stored them in rooms in the hallways of his living quarters. He kept all of his artifacts until he died in 82. The village people were very heartbroken or brokenhearted that he died, and they left things the way they did. Then people started breaking and stealing. People, started breaking and stealing, and said that has, they just disappeared.
People.
I think the weirdest thing out of all this, I doubt there would be as much attention to this as there is if they hadn't launched Neil Armstrong.
Yeah.
Why him?
Yeah.
They needed somebody
that
to wear
makes zero sense to me.
They needed somebody to wear the spacesuit when they explored
Buzz
the
Aldrin.
Like you would think that they would send like some kind of cave expert. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, I mean, the depths of space may be similar to what's happening in that cave. And when I say space, I say it loosely.
At the time that he went, though, he was one of the most revered people in this country. He was probably the most revered person. So if he goes down there and discredits it, then there's nothing to see.
Yeah, I'm just like, that's also suspicious. Like, why would you risk the life of one of the most prestigious people in the world?
Yeah, this is a very dangerous area. Like the local people would ice you in a minute, and plus, all the bugs and everything else.
And that's what they do today. I saw they flew a drone close, and there was like people with bows and arrows ready to shoot it down.
Yes, I've seen that. But I'm sitting here looking at a picture of these Caucasian gentlemen going in and out of this cave, and you can clearly see a sidearm on one of them. So, they were thinking ahead in that context anyway. It doesn't say when this, it doesn't say when this picture was taken or who it is, but yeah.
I mean, there's really not much. I mean, sidearmed, I don't really say much. I pack one at Walmart, so.
Well, in the 60s, not as many people probably did, Cecil. Crazy people. You're the reason I don't go in Walmart anymore. I just do pick up.
You should feel safe at Walmart.
No, my thing is, and I know totally off subject, but my thing is, when I see you walking around Walmart, I don't know if you're legally allowed to carry that gun or if you're insane.
Well, I think that most people do concealed.
Well, there you go. I'm okay with concealed, but
I will say that I was in Subway about 8 years ago. I was in Subway, and there was a Pentecostal woman with her. They have really long jean skirts.
Yes.
In Pentecostal.
Yes.
And I walk into Subway to get my sub, and there's a Pentecostal lady with a Glock attached to her skirt and an AR on her back.
See, there you go. That's what I mean.
She's ready to go to war.
She probably just been out at the range. But Mike, you're absolutely right. Neil Armstrong did have basically an army with him that was protecting him.
There's
Yes.
over 100 people.
Yeah, it is a
Probably like 100 of the most elite people, if I
Yes.
was guessing.
Yes, indeed.
Mhm.
Yes, indeed.
Let's go down here and pick some stuff.
That's right. And said he had heard about Father Crespi's collection and traveled down to see them.
Mm.
So did he really go in the caves?
They just needed some freedom, is all.
Yeah.
Kind of like how Trump's uncle just went to check out Tesla's stuff.
Yeah.
They just needed some freedom too.
That stuff needed to be liberated from
So,
Tesla's
But
property.
here's the thing, though. It does say that after a large man-scaled hunt, Armstrong's group did in fact find a cave system, and they did find man-made structures, carved tunnels, rooms, and more.
What's that and more? Dun, dun,
There you go. The stuff they're not going to tell you about.
yeah, so with the and more, was that where they found the blueprints for CERN?
Exactly.
Probably.
You know,
Oh,
that's
man.
probably what actually happened.
That video that you sent me the other day, Cecil, made me sick, dude. Like physically sick. Like I don't know if you guys skipped to the part that I was talking about, but about 7 minutes in, they're like, oh, and recently they tore through the fabric of time, basically, like it just the fabric of time space. Like
That was off like CNN or something.
Yeah. I've got it saved. I started watching it, and then I got busy at work, and then I'm like,
and there's
okay.
another part where it says that they observed it was in one of the, it might have not have been the magnetosphere, but in some part of the atmosphere. Didn't they rip a hole in that too with it?
Well, they said it wasn't because of CERN. It was just like coincidence that happened at the same time.
It was like for 14 hours they ripped a hole in the atmosphere with
And we
this
were
thing.
getting bombarded by gamma rays from the sun.
Yes, Mike, that is definitely a place I would love
Yeah.
more than 12 hours in.
The Smithsonian.
Yeah.
I bet everything that we think the Smithsonian has somehow made its way to the other place. What's it called? We've been talking
now they're
about
all one.
Vatican.
They're all under one rule now. Like there's not. I don't believe that there's one country that has something like that. That is a wild card. We'll say.
No, not at all. And anytime they find something like this, like imagine what they might have found in that cave that opened up in Vietnam. That one that has its own ecosystem.
The other one in China.
Yeah, it's untelling what they found there that we'll never know about. Because if a place has its own ecosystem, at some point people live there.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, if you are a reader, or if you're not a reader, then do Audible and download the Jonathan Mayberry Bewilderness series. It actually talks about that in detail. And at one point it references the fact that like 3 Mile Island and Hiroshima and some other places, these big meltdowns were attempts of them to create or get into another universe, get into another dimension.
Oh yeah,
and
sure.
Right, but like I said, I mean, I think you think, but the fact that somebody put it in writing, and everything, and he's still around, which is really cool because or let me rephrase for my gentleman.
That's a name we can't say right now.
So
trending the wrong way, sir.
yes. But I mean, it really is a very interesting to see somebody put that spin on it and everything. It's very interesting because it's like what this particular scientist is doing at this one is it's like a partial success, which of course means it's a partial total cluster. So.
Man, you know what? Sometimes I do think that whenever they started firing that thing off, that our reality really did change. Like
that little kid at the beginning of that video I sent you made the most sense. I don't even know if he's still alive. I think he got a suicide possibly when he's about 14. If it's the kid I'm thinking it is. But when he says that it knocked us off by like a nano weight or something like that, and destroyed our universe and pushed us into the next one, that makes the most sense.
I just think of stuff like the biggest evidence for me is the Mandela, because I know like people who try to discredit that are always like it's some kind of mass psychosis or whatever. Well, why wasn't there Mandela before 2012 or whenever they started firing that thing?
Back then it was called deja vu. Like,
well, deja vu wasn't like that. You weren't. Deja vu wasn't.
It wasn't the same, but to me it was on a similar spectrum. Like, I don't remember the last time I had deja vu. Do you? Like, I used to get it all the time.
Yeah,
like I've been here before. I've done this before.
Yeah,
maybe I outlived a life.
Been a while for me.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I agree, Mike.
Sometimes I wonder if Scott really does know more than what he thinks.
Oh, I definitely.
He definitely don't let it spill.
No, they trained him well. That's how we happened upon him. Which one bet they've infiltrated us with.
It's
Mr.
called
Scott Baker.
It's called mutually assured destruction.
Okay, all right. But see, they don't take into account that it may go exactly opposite of what they had planned, and we may end up changing him. We'll see what happens. More to come. There are more of us, damn it. And we're just crazy enough to maybe make it happen.
Well, I think we have a lot of cool subjects coming up.
Yes, we actually do.
But this cave, just kind of.
This cave was fire from the hip.
Yeah.
Well, I'd never heard of this cave before, like a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, the first I'd heard of it was from you, so that's how long I've known.
Like,
when was it? Yesterday?
But here's the thing. Neil Armstrong is one of the most revered people in history. Why didn't we learn about this in school?
Okay, I'm going to go here for just a minute. I was not taught in school that we had internment camps during World War II.
No.
Well,
I did not know that until
that.
college. In college is when I learned that.
My grandpa told me about it when I was little. But yeah, they didn't bring that up.
Well, just like they don't talk about internment camps that exist in the world today.
That's right.
You don't learn that in current events either.
We haven't done yet.
Mike, I think we've done a few places, but we haven't done Stonehenge specifically. But we do have coming up one on what was it?
There's a ton of Stonehenge.
Yeah, we've got a lot.
Oh, yeah,
Standing stones. Yeah, next year we do have standing stones, and it'll be Stonehenge and Avebury. And
when's our Kumbaya episode?
Okay, we've got Caitlin Skinwalkers next week, and then it's the following week.
You need to follow up with Caitlin. Man.
Yes.
So week after next, let everybody know we're having Kumbaya episode. We're just talking to you, getting ideas for new episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And
absolutely.
Thanking everybody for being around this year.
I'm wanting to wear my mesh tank top too, so
okay.
I'll just wear my regular one.
I might actually put the real me up there. Who knows? We'll see.
The mesh tank top would be a good idea, Cecil.
Yes. Yes.
Are we ready?
Okay, Stephen, they're committed. What are you doing? You're not wearing a mesh tank top.
I may do what I did before the show there.
Okay, that works. That works.
You had to put the poll up before we went live.
Oh, there you go. Mike, yes. Absolutely, sir.
Oh my God, that's so wonderful, Mike.
But yeah, we do have a lot.
It was bad.
That comment took me out.
Now, see the things that we were taught in school, more time I had in school was go into the hallway, put your head between your legs in case Russia dropped a nuke on us.
Yeah.
That's what was going to save us.
I feel like
Well,
they still
that's-
did that like
when
when we went to school, like when I first started going to school.
It was
They
the
did that with
nukes
tornadoes too.
and tornadoes. Yep. Because I'm coastal now, so I don't see a lot of tornadoes.
Yeah.
But I grew up a couple hundred miles inland, and you had those warnings on a regular basis. So
You need to take that comment down before I just bust out laughing.
How about this one? Is that one better?
You couldn't handle my OnlyFans outfit.
Cecil's running this Black Friday deal right now.
Yes, Mac.
Okay, so yes, in 2 weeks, we want you to tell us what you'd like to see, because we've tentatively got weeks and weeks planned out, but we are more than happy. Shush.
We got 3 years.
We have the next 10 years.
That is an untrue statement. If I went through my list and put everything on the calendar, maybe, but it's not on the calendar. But we have no problem rearranging stuff if you come up with something, awesome that you want to talk about.
Yeah.
I say
that's what I do, is move
here.
stuff to the end of the list when something better comes along.
Unless it's something like super vanilla,
Yeah.
we will throw it on for next year as a definite possibility.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, like I said, we like what we talk about, but y'all might have something better.
Like, and also it has to be something that we can get an hour out of. Like if you come in here talking about Mattress Firm being a front for the cartel, I don't know that we could get an hour out of that. But
okay, but
Which
if we
is true.
couldn't,
But that is true, yeah.
If we couldn't, I know that somebody could make it CERN related and drag it out for an hour.
I do have a quick question. Does anybody know that if the cocaine bear correlates to Long John Silver's?
Long John Silver's is sold out to the cartel.
Yeah.
I would have to research the
I know they used to run cocaine out of Lexington, and the cocaine bear actually ate the coke that fell out of the airplane from the dude that was hauling it from Lexington.
The cocaine bear is taxidermy now.
Yeah, and they've made a comedy about it. That's getting ready to come out. So
Oh wow!
it's called Cocaine Bear.
If we did that, we could always throw in stories about the Mena Airport.
Yep.
Well, I really think we should have one about Denver.
Oh
Yeah.
That airport.
The
That would be
airport.
good.
Yeah.
God, I read something recently about that. Like a dude got in the elevator just to go to the next floor, and it took him to the
suburb.
the subfloor, and he went into the bathroom. And when he walked into the bathroom, the urinal was like at his eye level. And he walks back out of the bathroom and gets on the elevator and goes back up.
That gives new definition to the peckerhead.
Oh shit! I got the spinning ball of death. Mike's wanting to know, what is the name of the show on Netflix with the guy talking about archaeology? That's the one with Graham, isn't it?
It's something apocalypse.
Ancient Apocalypse. Yeah.
Apocalypse.
That's definitely worth watching, Mike.
Yeah. There's eight episodes of it, I believe.
It's
That
intense.
sounds right. And I would like to announce on February the 10th, we are having an official CERN episode.
Dun dun dun.
That's right. That's right.
See, we're gonna have to talk to Hadley because we really need the videos of them doing those rituals and stuff for that.
Mm-hmm. I think that we can probably download it and then do it that way. And I figure too.
What I'll do is I'll download it and I'll just change it to like old timey footage or something. Because if you alter an image, it automatically becomes yours.
It's got to be a 20% alteration though, or you're still bound by copyright. I fight this daily.
I'm going to replace the statue of Beelzebub or whatever with my face.
Yeah, we need
We're going to make Scott come on that show, Mike.
Some footage from the ceremony. We what was it? The statue. Which god is it? The god
Shiva.
of destruction.
Shiva.
Yeah.
So we just need some pictures, and just it doesn't have to be a ton of footage, but at least where they're wearing like the stag heads and dancing around and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I've danced around a fire with horns on, so I'm not criticizing.
Was
So-
that at the unveiling of a particle accelerator?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. As a matter of fact, it was, the end of October, so the new year. But
Last time I
still,
did it, I lost my cell phone in the fire.
see, you don't carry your cell
She's
phone in a
saying dance
circle.
around the fire, not in it. See?
That's right. Unless Mo builds the fire, and then you've got to be about 30 feet away because it's too hot to get any closer.
I swan dove into one time.
Oh God!
Whew.
I didn't
You
even
know,
get burned.
every day I'm so thankful that you survived your childhood.
You remember that, Tully? Whenever I jumped in that?
Oh yeah.
Full moons and Samhain, Mike. Oh yes, Scott does conveniently glitch, doesn't he?
He
I've
really
noticed
does.
that. Yep.
They probably have him under surveillance to make sure he's not leaking any information.
Oh no, that's the after show. The after show is always the best part.
Oh, great. We're going to start hearing clicking during that, aren't we?
Yeah, that's right. I haven't heard clicking in a long time, but I quit hanging out with some people, and it was amazing how quickly that clicking quit.
It takes me how talking code, though. Really.
Right. I did try to do the whole to see if it was Morse code one time, and I couldn't make any sense out of it. I could get random letters if I tried really hard.
If we could find if we could do an episode on like all the strange frequencies people have picked up over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a lot of horror stories about that, like where people just like find channels of like little girls speaking in code and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That'd be a spooky episode.
Yep. It's on my list now. The list is apt to change at any point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Insect void aliens. Thanks, Mike. I really needed to hear that.
That's the scariest form of alien to me, is an insect alien. For some reason.
I don't know. I think those videos where the reptilians sort of lose their camouflage for a minute are pretty scary.
I'm not too concerned about the reptilians. I mean, I'll just move to Canada. It's cold there.
Well, I think they got it figured out.
I don't think a coat will take care of that.
You don't think so? All right. Well, guys and girls, we're going to call it. We really appreciate you joining us tonight. And again, next week, we're going to be talking about skinwalkers. So everybody do your research.
And we should have a good guest.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So until next time, stay weird.
Coming to take me away.